thank you so much for making the time. It's so wonderful. So my husband and I are in the process of buying a piece of land here.
Okay.
And we just really are excited about this place. And I found it first online. I was really into Asheville, just the woods, the mountains, the clean air, the wonderful climate and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found Olivette Agri-Hood, and right next to it was Olivette, not Agri-Hood, but Olivette.
Mm-hmm.
And right next to it, it was sort of like the realty part was there too.
Right.
And so I remember just calling you up, and you answered the phone and answered right away, gave me all the information about the pieces that I was interested in from the listings
Right.
at real estate. And then we decided to come up on the spur of a moment and actually bought a completely different piece of land.
That was fun.
Right.
And have a spontaneous visit.
Yeah. Because I think that it is really important to actually see. It's like,
Absolutely.
It's not something that you can really understand without having seen it, I think.
I agree with you completely. It's a big investment, but it's also a very emotional experience. And I often have an experience like you had, where I have people call, they're interested in a particular home site, and then they want to look at everything else while they're here, and they just have that feeling. It's a visceral feeling, and they know when they find the one, and that's what you had on 58.
Yeah. And so tell me a little bit how this came to be, because this is a rarity on some level. I mean, for me, to have the opportunity to live with people who want to live healthy, in a healthy place, with its own working farm that is organic, with goats, with different little parts, with a whole dog run area, with a community garden, with a little pickleball court, all of that. I mean, I haven't seen another community like that. And it seems like, in North Carolina, you're the only one.
Well, first of all, thank you. I appreciate that feedback, and it's exciting for me to think that we've done something that's really different. And I know it is different. It is a niche. It's not for everyone, but the people who are here have been like you, where they've just been inspired by what we set out to create. And we just had a vision for a very different way of living. And do you want me to go back to the very beginning? Okay. So it came about in 2014. I was a child and family therapist. My ex-husband was doing land development, and he was doing property management. We were very different lines of work, and part of that property development, he had a contractor that told him, you should go look at this piece of property. It's incredible, you should go look at it. And at that point in time, I had had my real estate license for about 10 years and really wasn't using it very much, just mostly for my own personal transactions, but really immersed in my career, a different line of work. But he came out and fell in love with it, and then I came out and fell in love with it. And he had a chance conversation with a neighbor who had children around the same age as his little brother from Big Brothers Big Sisters. And they were together just letting the kids play, and had a conversation with Scott Austin, who is business partner. And Scott, he told Scott about the land, said, I just am in love with this land. I don't, can't get it off my mind. And Scott was like, well, we didn't know this about him, that he did larger construction projects, commercial construction projects, student housing, and some commercial projects. So he had that background and was super excited about the land. This was just in a matter of days. Scott came out, fell in love with it, had his brother come in from Greensboro, fell in love with it. Everyone just went, because it's so beautiful. The river was so beautiful. It just felt magic. And within 2 weeks, we had an investor come in to support the project, and I wrote the contract on the 300-acre parent parcel. And a couple weeks later, the adjacent parcel that we're on right now, which was the historic family farm, 46-acre farm, came on the market, and we knew, wow, that had to be part of it. And it made a lot more sense at that point. When we had the farm, that's when kind of the bells started ringing, and it really,
So the farm is the farm that's still working now?
Well, part of the farm. So it was 46 acres, and we actually only have about 5 acres of land in cultivation. I say only, but that's a pretty good amount of land to have it. And I say we, the royal we, meaning our farmers who are amazing, husband and wife farmer team.
And the farm is called what? What's the name?
Olivette Farm.
It is Olivette. So it used, the big farm before was Olivette, and that's where the name comes
Well,
from?
it was a family farm, and I don't know that it had a name. Actually, that's a really good question. I should do some research on that and find out. But as far as I know, it was the Tipton farm. The Tipton family owned it, and I don't know that they had another name for it or not. But we named the community Olivette after the road in the community that it exists in, which is Olivette. So we just made it easy and just named it Olivette.
Nice.
So that we had, we were pretty inspired from the very beginning. My ex-husband and I had an urban homestead. We had chickens and bees, and we had a huge garden, and I did canning and preserving, and that was a big part of our lifestyle. And the folks that we were friends with at the time, that our community was very much in that same lifestyle of that slow food movement and very mindful living, very healthy people, and kind of back to the land. And that, so we had that in our background, and then discovered Serendipitous in Georgia, and were very inspired and thought about how they took it to that larger level. And we consulted with Steve and Garney Nygren when we had a master planning charrette after purchasing the land, and we had a local artist, Karen Hanna, record this for us, and she just drew the entire time, and then at the end of the planning charrette came up with this pictogram for us. But it really captures so much of what we set out to create. And in that planning charrette, we had land planners, civil engineers, soil scientists, artists, educators, environmentalists, people that would give pushback to development on the river. So we really wanted to have that feedback from a lot of different people, and get it right the first time. So we've taken our time with it. It's been a long time, building to this point, but we've got some pretty amazing people living here and a lot of momentum behind us now too. So it just, the people that are attracted to the plan that we created for the community have all added to that in some significant way. They all have something in their background, some inspiration that they have shared, and it just makes it better. So it's fun.
Beautiful.
It's really fun.
How many people do you have here now? How many families?
We have 85 homes completed, and about 10 or so that are under construction right now. We've sold 110 home sites. Every year we have a good flush of about 10 new home sites sold, and 10 new families coming through architectural review, and that has just, that's how we've gotten to this place and the momentum. Yeah.
And so when you first came together in 2014, it feels like it was sort of like meant to be, right? Like it all sort of just came together.
Everything came together.
Right.
Everything lined up, and I don't think we had a chance to think about it before it happened. It happened so quickly.
Fast.
I mean, 2 weeks we had the property under contract, and I can't tell you now, like if I had a chance to think about it and knew it was ahead of me in the next 10 years, it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but it's so rewarding. I wouldn't do anything different, but if I had a chance to think about it, I would have probably second guessed myself, and I wouldn't know that I was up to the task. I would have definitely had to grow into it. So it was good. Yeah.
Amazing, huh? I mean, it's almost like it is your life's work.
I feel like it's a legacy project for me. I can't envision doing anything else after this. Hopefully I can retire someday, but.
Sure. And so did it feel like it sort of took until now to really kind of like become something that the consciousness sort of like actually grew into?
I don't know. That's an interesting.
Right away. So this.
That's an interesting question. If I could tell you, it just painting the picture going back to 2015 and the first people that were here.
Yeah.
There was no infrastructure. We had this beautiful idea. This in a post 2008 real estate market, that's a big sell, and we were putting infrastructure in, so a lot of the roads were just mud, and there were no amenities, and I would just stand there and point at, this will be the community garden, and now there's a community garden because we have amazing people here that are creating this, and have been inspired in that way, and they want to contribute. So it has evolved over time, and I don't know if that really answers your question, but the people that have come here to live here have contributed in that way too. So I think in that way the consciousness has kind of evolved throughout the process, and as we have too.
Right. And maybe the people who came in 2015 were like the pioneers.
They were the pioneers. It was like Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
It was.
Right? And then now you get maybe more like the people who really love the beauty and the amenities, and even your office is just so inviting and beautiful and luxurious, and it just feels so good.
Thank
that in the middle of nature that you still have everything that you possibly would want from the point of view of comfort and beauty.
I like my creature comforts for sure.
And so it's just, I would think that, I might have not been the person to first sort of like just see it without being able to conceptualize it without being able to really see it. Yeah. But I would think that there's a lot of people like me who are probably seeking a place where they would find like-minded people and be able to really just live and have food safety, clean water, clean air, a beautiful climate, beautiful people, community.
It's been an evolution. When I think about the early adopters, folks that came in, they were pretty risk-tolerant people. They had to really have some vision and imagination and trust in us that we were going to complete this monumental project that, and fulfill all our obligations and promises to them, which we have. And now we're in a place where we can build on that because we have that, we've established that, and we have so many folks up here that have had good experiences that it's much easier. I'm not having to paint the picture of the entire community because it's here.
It's here. How cool.
Yeah.
How cool. Yeah. How does the farm play a role in all of this?
Well, the farm is the heart and soul of the community, and our farmers are amazing people, remarkable human beings, and I feel like, have you ever gone to a restaurant where it maybe is a more modest restaurant, but the folks in the back are happy and laughing and having joy around cooking your food, and then you can just taste it in the food? Or you go to a fancy fine dining restaurant, maybe not so happy, and the food's just, Our farmers put so much good energy into what they do that I feel like you can just taste it, and it's not just the food, it's the culture around the food. We have farm-to-table dinners, we have community potlucks. We're very foodie or food-centric people, and a lot of it is around food-oriented events. And the farm itself is a fully operational organic farm. We serve not only Olivette residents but the community at large in Asheville. So we have a farm stand. We're active in local tailgate markets through ASAP, which is the Appalachian Sustainable Agriculture Project. We distribute food through a local area wholesaler, and we're in some of the best farm-to-table restaurants in the city. So,
wow. And
I'm really proud of this, but in 2023, 30% of the food that was produced at Olivette Farm went to people with food insecurities through several nonprofits in the area. So we're really casting a wide net, and we also have a very active CSA subscription. So it's over 90 people who are involved with the CSA, and so you get a big bag of fresh organic produce once a week if you sign up, and if you prefer not to or don't need a whole bag of produce, then you can just shop at the farm stand too. So
Right.
a lot of different ways to get the
Beautiful.
food.
And you pick up the food right here.
Yes, right here on the farm.
Underneath the.
Yep.
Yeah,
And if
awesome.
there's like a special order, there's also a portal through the website so folks can order online. Like if you had a dinner party and you wanted something specific, the farmers will pack it up and just put it in the cooler downstairs for pickup.
Nice.
You were asking me what else we did for
Yes.
fun around
Yes.
here. Okay, so we have an event coordinator, and she is another one of those people that it just brings joy and inspiration to her job and to the community. She's co-chairing the events committee, and we have all sorts of really wonderful things going on in the community. We have farm to table dinners that I mentioned. We have a summer concert series called Sundays on the River, where we have a local, one of our residents in the community has Chat Hills Music Productions, and he brings in wonderful music for everyone to enjoy, and that's open to the Asheville community at large, not just for Olivette residents. So we have public events like that are open to everyone. Then we have community-wide events like potlucks and things that are just community-wide, and we have tailgate markets on the farm, which are really fun. We also have a lot of committee and community organizations around like book clubs and mahjong, pickleball, walking groups, all sorts of
The
things.
dog park.
Then we have a bunch
the
of
Yappy Hour.
and Yappy Hour. That's a big thing. So Yappy Hour's been a fun thing, and
And
that's
that's by the river, right?
that's by the river, and that's been a response of trying to balance the voices of a lot of different people, and it's a tricky thing to do to try and make everyone happy, because that can backfire. But we've got people. We have an on lead dog policy, so dogs are supposed to be on lead at all times, but then you also have larger breed dogs that really need to run, and the dog park's big, but really get out there and run. So an hour in the morning, hour in the afternoon is Yappy Hour, and everyone knows and understands that dogs can be off lead during that time, and they just, if they don't want to be around off lead dogs, they just don't go to the park, and everybody's happy. So at least I think so.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that is actually at the dog park, or is that down by the river?
Down by the river, yes.
So it's just wide open.
It's
right
wide
by-
open.
And dogs can even go into the river.
They
if
can,
they dare.
and they do. This one right here loves to get in the river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
She likes to swim.
Yeah, I bet. What about arts? Like beautiful.
Well,
what do you know about that?
Well, we actually just hosted a stop on the Lester Art Tour, so we're really working on immersing arts into the community as well. And we had 6 of the artists in this Lester community utilize the space here and set up booths as part of the Lester Art Tour. So the art tour is a studio tour where you can go around and visit areas, artists in their working studios. And it's a wonderful event, but it's very spread out in this area. So having 6 artists here consolidated in one spot was a really great thing for the artists, and it was already also wonderful for us and as a community. And we're really working toward, we have sculpture, we're commissioning sculptures for the community. We have, we're trying to create art throughout. So if you notice when you drive through, like the signs, the stop signs were commissioned by a local artist who is just a wonderful artist, a metal artist, David Earl Tomlinson, who created all of that.
And the stone, the O of the Olivette with like the big rock underneath is just stunning.
Thank you. He did that one as well.
Cool.
So, and we have some other sculptures that are at the main entrance and then at the park that we also love. David Earl did not do those sculptures. They were, I'll have to get the name of that artist for you. I've like had a moment here. I can't pull it up, but yeah.
No problem. And what about this, isn't it also sort of a non-for-profit arts council?
Olivette Arts Resources, and that sponsors arts, educational, and environmental projects here. Like, for example, commissioning the sculptures that are in the community areas of the park. the one down by the river and the one at the main entrance. So.
Wow. So many things. How did that all happen? Like, did you guys sort of just dream it up, or?
Well, we had that charrette, and that was inspiration for us, and we just keep pushing. We just keep doing it, and the right people show up, and we have the right conversations, and have opportunities present themselves, and we take advantage of them, and we've been really fortunate. We've just been really lucky. It's a dream.
Yeah. It feels like it also goes with sort of a new earth. You know, it just feels like that. It's like this ease, this comfort, this safety, but it's not like, oh yes, it's only for the absolute super wealthy people or something. It just feels very wholesome and grounded as well.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I do. That is, I think, a reflection of the energy that we're bringing to it. But it's also, I think, a reflection of the area that we're in. We're in, Olivette is located on the second oldest river in the world, and the oldest, it predates the Appalachian chain, which is the oldest mountain chain in the world. So it's ancient. So it feels new, but it's really, and I think about living close to your food source. That's another example of being close to food source. That's old. There's nothing new about that. We're just revisiting a very old concept. We didn't make that up.
Yeah.
People should be living near their food.
Yes. Yeah, totally. I looked up ley lines, you know, energy lines that just go all over the world, and Asheville is, and the surrounding is in the star biome. And I haven't been able to understand that much of what star biome
Okay,
is.
that was going to be my question.
But then of course always like video games usually give you like, so basically Mind of Worldcraft or something, or what is it called? I don't know, I forget, but something like that, or Minecraft?
Minecraft?
Something like that.
Oh.
World of Minecraft. Something.
Okay.
Forget.
I think
But
I know what you're saying, but I can't remember. Okay.
In the star biome for them, it's like all of this green, and it's like the most desirable biome to be in and to live in and to build in. And that's what it feels like. It just feels like a nest. It just feels like this like super welcoming, super sort of healing, like deeply supportive.
I've always
place.
felt that about this area. And I'm from coastal Georgia and from Savannah, and I feel that in that area too. It feels like you're just nestled and protected in a way. But the mountains, there's something about the lushness of the foliage, and the earth is very rich, and the air feels clean, and the water is wonderful, and there's just something very comforting, and I feel comfort in the mountains.
Yeah.
And when I leave, I love to travel, I love adventure, but I'm always excited to come back. When I see the mountains, I'm just like, yes, I'm back. It feels so good.
Tell me a little something about the light here.
The light.
Yeah, because I mean, so I live in Miami, and the light is beautiful. It's like this gold, bright,
Crystalline kind of
light.
Right.
You know, you need these really strong colors. Like I never understood before, like why there were like so many like, you know, neon pinks and Miami blue and all of them sort of in your face. But you need it in order to kind of counteract the strength of the sunlight that is really golden. And here it feels more very bright, lots of light, but maybe more diffuse. What is it like? You know, like think of like from your artist perspective.
Okay.
Like, just you living in this. What's the feeling?
I think it's the mist and the moisture in the air that we have sometimes. Like this morning, it was very misty, and that softens the edges of everything and gives it like a soft focus. And the colors, I think, are more harmonious. When you look at the mountains, the greens tend to lean toward blues in certain times of year, and they lean toward golds in the other times of year, just depending on the season. And I think that it's like a soft watercolor, and but like an impressionist painting when you really stand back and you look at it from a distance, and especially in the late evening, it just gets a soft mist around it. That's why they call them the Smokies.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's all the soft light and the color.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, cool.
Yep.
Anything else that you would sort of tell someone like me
About the community? It's wonderful, and I'm glad you're here. First of all, thank you for that, and thank you. Really, I really appreciate that you'll be here. I think it's going to be really fun.
Awesome.
So what do I want to say about the community? It's a very small team of people. We wear a lot of different hats. We work really hard. We do the best we can. We put our heart and soul into everything that we do, and I think it shows. And this is a legacy project, not just for me, but for my business partners. And we just really, whether they're here boots on the ground every day like myself and my business partner Scott, or some of the folks that are silent partners but are supporting behind the scene, we really have a lot of integrity and a lot of intention behind what we're doing. And sometimes it takes us a long time to get things done because we're really focused on getting it right.
Yeah. And it's so wonderful to have you here, because like you are one of the creators of the project, and that is just, first of all, for me, that's like so it makes things so safe and so inspiring from the point of view of like, I feel like I can go right to the source and speak to you.
And here I am.
Yeah, and here you
in my
are.
office.
Right, and so it's also so accessible, and it feels so, just again, like grounded, like real. I really appreciate it, and I assume that you will also stick around, and so that's just so nice to have this continuous feeling of being supported by you and your business partners, and
Well, thank you.
and your vision.
Thank you. I
really
appreciate
important.
that. It's a different model, and it sometimes has its challenges to be on site. Just to be honest, like the traditional model for a developer would be to buy the land, to do the land plan, subdivide, sell, and leave. And they're usually not even located in the community that they're developing. I've lived in the mountains for almost 40 years, and this is important. It's important for me to get this right, and it is a legacy project. I want to do something I feel proud of, and I want to add something. I don't want to take away. So thank you for recognizing.
How unique.
Thank you.
Yeah. And how many more parcels would you have to sell until you're like totally at capacity here?
Oh gosh, well we keep acquiring more land. So right now we have 411 acres. We're approximately 25 to 30% through the community as far as the development. Moving forward, we'll move in to an area where we'll have some density. We'll do some townhomes. So it'll be mixed density. Moving forward, we'll have lot sizes like you see now. They're reflective of everything from a 1/4 acre to 2 acres, and then we'll have some townhomes scattered in. But the land plan itself will look more or less the same. We'll just move forward with, anything that has a tighter density. We'll have some sort of community green space adjacent to it for everyone to share, which is an important part of our plan too. If you think about the way people live in isolation, they can live in a neighborhood, and in the mountains it's not unusual to have a little bit of land around you and never even know your neighbors. But creating shared community green spaces that people can get together and gather in, like the community gardens or the river park or the farm park or the trails, people are like centralized in those areas, and it also creates some areas where you have a front porch living kind of feeling, where you see your neighbors every day and you wave and say hi when you're walking your dog, and there's a deep sense of connection, and people do form those connections really quickly here too. The community is very embracing in itself. Like if you're out walking around while you're here on site, you will definitely meet some neighbors and have an opportunity to strike up a conversation and see what they think about living here and what they think about us and the whole thing. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Beautiful. And one more thing real quick. The situation. So is Olivette like a little trough? Or is it sort of like a kind of like a table mountain? Or like, how does it look?
Well, that's an interesting, well, it's rolling hills and it has some mountain areas, but the highest elevation here is only 2,100 feet, which is low for this area. You'll see some mountain communities that get above 3,500 feet, and they're, very high elevation, beautiful long distance views, but we're relatively low. And the property itself, the land that's directly over the river, here, let me show you on this map. This will be easier to explain. So it's upside down.
So there's the French Broad River.
So here's the river. So this is 411 acres, approximately 1.3 miles on the French Broad. This area is our Riverside Park, and that is the only area that's got level, direct access to the river. Everything else is a plateau over the river. So it is more of a shelf over the river, but it's not really a bowl, it's just kind of rolling throughout, and it's pretty level if you look at the big picture from east to west.
That makes sense because the river has found a path through it, that this is the lowest point. And then,
and the river flows north, so when you go down there it feels a little backwards the first couple of times.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Well, I thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, for doing this, for dreaming this.
Oh my gosh.
For making it happen.
Thank you.
That's very, very cool.
Thank you. I appreciate the
I'm
acknowledgement.
very happy. I would think that a lot of people would love to hear about it. Really, one more last little question. Utility-wise, what's available?
We have...
And roads,
Okay, underground utilities. We have AT&T Fiber, Duke Power, city water, and sewer throughout most of the community, with the exception of just a few home sites that are up in the Rivercrest neighborhood, which was developed prior to the roads and everything going in. The roads have been built to DOT specs, and they've been turned over to the town of Woodfin, so we're in the process of that, them taking the roads over. So that won't be an HOA expense. That's something that will be covered by city county taxes, and that takes some of the heat off the HOA. And I think it's very important to be thoughtful about roads in the mountains, because we live in the mountains and they take maintenance and have issues. So we built them correctly. We put a lot of money into the infrastructure on the front end because we thought it was the right thing to do. And it's also the best thing for people who live here as far as managing expenses around the infrastructure. So.
And also, when people build houses, they use geothermal.
Yes,
heating?
That is another very big
thing. That's a requirement.
That's a requirement. So yes, we have pretty strong energy efficiency requirements within the community. Every house in the community is on geothermal heating and cooling, which is a huge energy savings. And the other factor, that the reason why we chose to go with geothermal is that it's silent. So when you're enjoying your outdoor experience, you're not listening to your HVAC unit or your neighbor's HVAC unit, which is pretty important when you look at the design of the land plan and density in certain areas. You want to have that sense of quiet, even though you're close.
Yeah.
So that's something we've done. We also have a home energy rating score requirement of 55 or lower, and we have an energy efficiency specialist. His name is Elliot Nalen. He's an exceptional person who models homes and makes sure that they can be compliant with that. But what I found that has been the most impressive to me about the people who live here, when we established those architectural guidelines in 2014, we thought they were pretty ambitious, but what we soon discovered is that the folks that have been attracted to being here have gone way above and beyond, and they've used solar to hit net zero. So we have examples, I have multiple examples of 3,000 square foot homes that are net zero.
Wow.
And we have a whole neighborhood that is net zero ready, the Westridge neighborhood, and all the homes there were designed to be net zero, and they're ready to go. People pop the solar panels on top, they're net zero in their houses. And we've won local, state, national awards for our green innovation and our community, and we'll continue to push that.
How cool. So it's a real clean neighborhood.
It's a very clean neighborhood.
You're gonna just basically be able to be outside or inside and just have a really nice, again, maybe sort of like in ancient days, like pure, clean water, air. All of it.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
We can do what we can. That's what we'd like to see. I think it's with the energy efficiency and if we're looking at truly being like sustainable or thinking about that term has been overused and kind of just diluted to the point it doesn't mean anything. But localizing food source and reducing the food chain, supply chain, that's really important, and being and conserving resources, and also reducing consumption of natural resources through using alternative energies. This is the other factor. So we're committed to.
Yeah, I mean, what an opportunity. I'm very, very happy, and I hope that we reach a lot of people.
I do too. I'm just so excited. This is fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't too painful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.